7, we had a half day today, and right off the bat, I just want to share some schedule. The government will rest their case at the end of the day on Monday, and the defense said that their case in chief may only last 1 to 2 days, so they could rest as soon as Wednesday afternoon, and then we could do closing arguments Thursday or Friday. So that was pretty big. I mean, I'm not taking any of this conclusively, but I wanted to just alert everybody as far as scheduling goes. And the judge also discussed jury charges being discussed next Wednesday afternoon as well. Okay, so let's go to our first witness of the day, Brendan Paul. Brendan Paul was the person that was arrested in 2024, in March of 2024, at the Miami airport, and all of the headlines said that it was Diddy's drug mule that was arrested, his drug dealer. No, that really couldn't be further from the truth. Brendan Paul was a personal assistant of Diddy's, and he's actually a pretty impressive guy. He went to Syracuse. He was a walk-on college basketball player. He even played in the NCAA tournament. I think it was in 2019. But he testified that he was arrested, and that's kind of what ended his employment March 25th, 2024. And what happened was he was cleaning one of Diddy's hotel rooms. He saw, I guess it was 0.07 of a gram. What is it? I don't even know how I don't know how to talk about drugs, but it was like 0.007 grams of cocaine, whatever that means. And he found it, he took it with him, and he forgot that he had it on him. So at the airport, when they searched him, they found it, and he actually did not snitch. He never said whose it was. And just skipping ahead a little bit, he did say he had a great lawyer, so he ended up getting those charges dropped. He did some community service and took some classes and whatnot. But he testified that he had never spoken to Diddy since that arrest, and he hadn't seen him either. So he started working for Diddy at the end of 2022. So he worked for him for about 18 months, let's say. And he talked about some of his duties, which were just organizing Diddy's suitcases, doing Amazon returns, coordinating with the chefs. And he also said that he packed he packed a lot of, I'll say that again. He packed a lot of joints in the garage. That was part of his duty. He also said that he did do some drug runs for Diddy, and he testified though that he only spent about between $100 and $500 for these said drugs, which could be anything from cocaine, ecstasy, to prescription pills. He once was tasked to get Diddy Xanax, but he wasn't able to find it, but he said another assistant did. The government also asked him a lot about who he communicated with. Was it more KK? Was it other assistants? Was it Diddy himself? I think they were trying to bring KK in a lot as this alleged co-conspirator. He also talked about some of the travel booking. He brought up Jessica Ruiz, who we now know is the person that was in charge of travel. We've seen her name pop up a lot. And he testified that he worked between 80 and 100 hours a week. He made $75K to start, then made $100,000 when he left. And he set up hotel rooms for king nights a number of times, not a ton. And he cleaned up after these king nights as well. Again, a handful of times. He said that he wore gloves because it was a little bit unsanitary, probably slippery, I'm guessing. And he also said that when he first started, Eli Marone, one of the other assistants, told him that he should just use this job to get in and get out, break up with his girlfriend, and also don't expect to see your family and friends ever. And let's see. He talked about only witnessing Diddy doing drugs maybe once or twice, and that one time Diddy asked him to do a drug. It was like K2, I think it is what it's called, which is a form of ketamine and Molly, and Diddy wanted him to try it to see if it was good, and Brendan Paul said he tried a little bit of it, but he wasn't upset about it because he wanted to prove his loyalty. He also talked about staying up for 3 days straight with naps here and there, working on a special project in 2023, which was Diddy's album Love. And he actually said that this didn't bother him because he was young and he was, happy to do it. It was exhilarating, so to speak, because he was working on this album. That's kind of what Brian Steele elicited from him during the cross. He also spoke of certain drug dealers that he communicated with, and he mentioned the name One Stop, Guido. We saw the picture of Guido. He looks like a Guido, by the way. And someone named Baby Girl. What else? Oh, he was asked about Jane. He communicated, at some point with Jane because he set up these hotel rooms, and he was asked, I'm going into cross a little bit, but let me just make sure I didn't miss anything from the direct. He testified that the Wild King nights stopped happening at hotels after Cassie's lawsuit dropped. And then we saw photos of Baby Oil and Astroglide, and he took a photo of this because he said he was telling another assistant how it needed to be organized. And that's really it for the direct. Oh, and outfits from a sex store. He took pictures because he was asked to go, I guess, get some things during a Wild King night for Jane and Diddy, but Diddy, when he sent these photos of the outfits from the sex store, Diddy never answered. So then, okay, back to cross. So the cross-examination, again, Brian Steele was the one who kind of said, look, you are this college basketball player. You are very motivated. You're very intelligent. You would not work for anyone who was a criminal. And he said, no, I wouldn't. And he just said, was there anything, or did you think anything illegal was happening in these hotel rooms for these Wild King nights? And he said, no, he just thought it was time for Diddy to have personal time and blow off some steam. Oh, in the direct examination, by the way, he did testify that he he had to coordinate Diddy getting $5,000 to the hotel room for a Wild King night. So that'll be important for the redirect. But yes, so he said, nope, I didn't see anything illegal happening. I thought he was just having sexy time, some partying, whatever. And then he said, you were excited to work for Mr. Combs. This was like a big deal for you. You were, you looked up to him, and or basically he was someone that you wanted to be like in the music industry. And he just kind of said, yeah. And he said that, yes, after he would see Jane after these Wild King nights, did she ever appear sorry? Did she ever appear regretful? Did she ever appear disturbed? And Brendan Paul's answer was absolutely not. And again, he brought up the day that he stayed up really late, and he said it was for the album release, and it was exhilarating. And he kind of said, do you think that you're indebted to Sean Combs for the experiences that you had? And he's like, I don't know about indebted, but, he kind of said that he was grateful for the opportunity. And then, even without getting immunity here, you would still tell the truth. And he's like, yeah, of course. And then during the redirect, this is what I'm getting at, the government brought up, well, what did you kind of think that the $5,000 was for when you went to go bring it to him? But there was some objections, and it didn't really get answered. And she just said, well, what was your understanding? Objection. Did you provide him with cash at any other times? No, not that I can remember. And then she said, how do you feel about Sean Combs? And he said, it's complicated. When he got off the stand, they didn't look at each other, Diddy or Brendan Paul. Diddy kind of nodded his head a little bit during that testimony, nothing crazy. And then we saw some text messages that were put into evidence from Cassie and Diddy. And it was back and forth with Cassie talking about being abused. She talked about an incident that happened after the Met Gala where he dragged her, and then the government added some context there after Tenny Garagos objected during a sidebar and during a break where Cassie kind of said, I love doing FOs when we both agree to it. And the last witness of the day will continue on Monday, and this is Joseph Cerciello, and it was just more charts and graphs corroborating the escort travel and everything pertaining to the Jane era. So, well, oh my gosh, sorry, the sun is so bright, but
It is Friday, day 27 in the Diddy trial.
Today
Day 27 of Diddy's trial, and they are back with his former personal assistant and alleged substance mule, Brendan Paul. Brendan, who was once a college basketball player for Syracuse, said he was recruited by Diddy's team in late 2022. The job ended March 25th, 2024, when he was arrested at the Miami airport about to head on family vacation with Diddy when he was found in possession of snow. Snow was found in his bag, which he uses for his personal assistant's duties, and he said he put it in there when he was sweeping Diddy's room and organizing it and forgot that it was in his bag. Talking about getting hired, he said he was told that he had to get in, get out. If you have a girlfriend, break up with her, you're never going to see your family. In terms of his job, he said it was related to fitness, food prep, workout planning, and that kind of stuff. He quickly realized what it meant to not see family ever again because he was on call 24/7. He had to meet every demand and make sure he made Diddy happy no matter what. When he first started, he worked out of the LA home and said he mostly took orders from other assistants, split travel logistics, packing, workouts, meals, music-related errands, and of course, handling substances. Part of that was packing Mary J joints in the garage. Starting salary was $75K, but by the time it was January of 2024, it got bumped up to $100K. That he mostly stayed in an Airbnb in LA and Miami, and when asked where did KK stay, he said she had an apartment about 4 minutes from Diddy's LA home. In terms of how many hours he worked, he said 80 to 100 hours a week, and that was over a 4 to 6 day period. In terms of traveling, he said he's been on Diddy's private jet about 3 to 4 times, but usually he would travel ahead to make sure Diddy's rooms were set up. In terms of the longest stretch he's ever stayed up, he said it was during Diddy's New York album release, and he stayed up for almost 3 days. He did say he was young and that's why he was able to stay up, but when he needed it, he would take Addy as well as sometimes Snow. He admitted that during his time working for Diddy, he would occasionally do Mary J. In terms of getting fired, he said it happened multiple times and usually on impulse. Like one time, Diddy went on a walk and he forgot to bring Diddy's Lululemon fanny pack. He tells him, "I don't want to see your face ever again. Let KK know you're fired." And then said KK pulled him aside and said, "Keep a low profile, it'll blow over." And he said eventually it did. He asked if he took it to HR. He said, no, that wasn't really a thing. If you had a complaint, you'd have to go to Diddy or KK. Asked if he ever had to buy substances for Diddy. He said, yes, thousands of dollars worth, including Mary J, Snow, Pink Snow, X, and K. Asked who did he buy Mary J from? He said Philip Hines. And then when asked who the other dealers were, he said One Stop, Guido, Baby Girl, and someone named Ovi. They then pulled up text messages with him, Baby Girl, and the other assistant, Jonathan Perez, where Jonathan Perez is introducing him to Baby Girl. In the text, Baby Girl was asking Brendan if the stuff he wanted was for him or Diddy, and he said it's for Diddy, but don't tell anyone that. Asked how he paid for substances, he said that it was paid in cash and he would either get it from the Gucci bag. If Diddy ever made him take substances, he said yes, and he did it because he wanted to prove his loyalty. He was then asked about Wild, and he said it would involve Diddy, his significant others, substances, and sex. He confirmed that Jane Doe did participate in Wild King Nights, but when asked if Diddy's other girlfriends did, he said that I'm not aware of. In terms of his job, he said it was to set up, clean up, and he would wear gloves for sanitary reasons. He also confirmed that once Cassie's lawsuit came out, nights stopped happening at hotels and would happen at homes. The prosecutor showed the jury several text messages between him and KK where they would arrange or she would let him know that Wild King Night was happening. Asked how he would know what to buy for these nights, he said we had a shared document in the Notes app. In terms of the Astroglide, he said it was the property manager who was responsible for that, but he didn't think that that manager was good at doing it, so he sent a photo on how to set up the room. Asked how he put in to get the cash, he said Robin at TriStar, which again, Robin Greenhill. They then showed the jury a photo of him being arrested, and he confirmed that was the day that he got arrested, and also confirmed that the snow was not his, but Diddy's. He said when he got arrested, he did not tell law enforcement that it wasn't his that day because of loyalty. He said that the charges against him were dropped because I have a good lawyer. Ryan Steele then came up for cross-examination, and he said handling substances was a minor part of his job. When asked if he was a DRUG mule, he said absolutely not. When asked if he thought Wild King Nights was personal time for Diddy, he said I considered it to be like an escape. He testified that he believed it was Diddy's personal time to be alone with Jane Doe. Also said that he spoke to Jane Doe every time before a Wild King Night and almost every time afterward, and never felt like she was hesitant or not a will willing participant. Asked if he would work for a criminal, he said no because he cares about his reputation. Brian Steele then asks him, "You were arrested for 27 grams, barely personal use. It was a mistake, right?" "Yes." "And the case was dismissed?" "Yes." When asked if substances made Diddy more focused, he said he got extremely creative. Then said for the most part he had good experiences working for Diddy, and that was it with cross-examination. In redirect, the prosecutor tried really hard to ask, "What do you think was happening during Wild King nights?" but it kept getting objected and sustained. Asked, "Were you there?" he said no. "What did you think $5,000 were for?" Objected, sustained. "You give Diddy $5,000 in cash in any other context?" No. "And you said you wouldn't work for a criminal, but you bought substances for him?" "Yes, more than 5 times, less than 10. Asked, "How do you feel about Diddy?" he said, "It's complicated," and that's where they ended. Next is Special Agent Joseph Cerciello, and I will be back with his testimony. Prosecutors were supposed to rest sometime this week, but because they didn't have trial for 2 days, with one of the jury members being sick on Wednesday, it looks like they're going into next week. And our next witness on the stand is Special Agent Joseph Cerciello. He worked for HSI for 18 years and looked over thousands of records to help build charts that show movements of individuals tied to Diddy. And these include hotel stays, flights, financial transactions, as well as text messages. Chart spans from May of 2021 to August of 2024, and the only woman on the chart is Jane Doe. One example, there was a stay at one hotel South Beach on May 22nd to the 23rd of 2021, which cost $3,000 for a single night. He confirmed that Jane was on a JetBlue flight that took her from New York to Miami to be at that hotel. Then turned off screens and showed videos from her Instagram that line up with that time frame. Confirmed that Jessica Ruiz was Diddy's travel agent and that there was a charge for losses and damages of $6,000. He then pulled up another record to show Jane Doe flying from LA to Miami and showed that Sly was flying from Atlanta to Miami at the same time. He then pulled up a hotel damage from the London Hotel, room 229, where the report says bodily fluids spread on the floor, and there were pictures attached as evidence. The hotel reservation was under the name Joseph Chavez, and it included $3,750 for damaged furniture. It then showed text messages between Diddy and Jane where it coordinated the arrival of 3 men at that hotel. Also showed that one of the 3 men had deposited $1,500 of cash into an ATM in LA after the hotel reservation. Jury also saw text messages from Diddy to Jane Doe where he tells her to send $1,100 to Cowboys for Angels, which is a male entertainer service, and he tells her it's for flights and an overnight rate. The 3 men that night were Reggie, Paul, as well as Sly. Jury then saw a note which came from Diddy's head security, Fahim, who he also calls Fa, and it was from April 25th, 2024, where it said $5,000 P. Diddy, personal, London. The jury saw how Fahim kept track of some spending reimbursements for Diddy's personal cash expenses. Then saw a text message from Diddy's former personal assistant, Jonathan Perez, to Fahim where he said to him, "I don't know if you're holding $10,000, and Fahim responded saying, "Trying to get some more now." Also show that Diddy was billed for hotel damages at the West Hollywood Hotel from April 23rd to the 25th of 2023 for $1,800. Records showed room 917, linens and smoking in room, linens soaked in baby oil on carpet, as well as evidence of smoking in the room. Now, because today was a short day, court ended at 1 p.m. and he will be back on the stand on Monday. Now, what's interesting is Brian Steele told the judge that if the prosecutors rest on Monday, they might be able to present their entire case on Tuesday and Wednesday alone, which means closing arguments could happen Thursday, even though we were expecting them to go until January 4th. Obviously, we won't know until next week, but if that's the case, we could find out what will happen with Diddy on whether or not he's found guilty or not guilty by Friday. Prosecutors were supposed to
It's day 26, officially, of the United States.
Hey, you guys, we are finally at the... Hey, y'all, it's your girl, Millie Chun, and I'm back with the second half. It seems like today was pretty short.
once again, it's day 27 of the U.S. versus Sean Combs. We've already heard from Brendan Paul. And now we're going to get into some exhibits and some more things, and then it's going to be over. So in the second part, the judge is like, the government can call their next witness. The AUSA says they have some exhibits that they need to handle first. And then Combs, they're talking about what Diddy is saying. He said he can't take it anymore. The album is not done. KK is him to just kind of chill out. We control our energy. And he was like, get me Frank. Child, Diddy ain't worth nothing. So then they come in and they play a message. So you hear Diddy's voice. And he's like, have Jonathan do it. And then KK is like, John will go to a hotel. Then the AUSA is like, we have a little bit more. Then we request a break. The judge is good with that. And then there's a message shown on screen involving Veronica Banks. Then they take that down. Then the AUSA is reading what is being said between Cassie and Diddy. Miss Ventura says, you bash my head in. Combs says, you're crazy. Stop talking, flipping on me for what? We're taking a break. Miss Ventura, I don't want to be beaten down for standing up or ever. Diddy said, I try to figure out how to get this blank out. He ain't even listening to the girl. She don't want no hands put on her no more, but he trying to figure out how to get his relaxation moment. This is crazy. Then they continue to read, the AUSA does. And Cassie's like, all I wanted was to have a good time. And you took all your anger out on me per usual. You dragging me down the hall by my hair. This is not play tussling anymore. I was serious about Rita coming. So then Cassie told Diddy that Boris had to tackle him. She said, that's not love, that's possession. She was like, I have bleeding cuts. Then Diddy says to Cassie, I'm not going to let people mess all over me when all I've done was be nice. I'm paraphrasing. And then he said, you don't treat me like the king. You was acting like a bee. Child, then they continue to read from Cassie to Diddy, talk to your people and they'll tell you, or maybe they won't. Says all they do is suck up to you. I asked to have my record come out after 1,000,000 years. And so then the lawyer takes over. I would like to read another portion of those exhibits. The AUSA says, may I confer with Ms. Garagos? Judge says, of course. Garagos says, we need a break. The judge says, okay, child, they take a break. So child, they up there while the jury out at the judge's desk, right? And they want to read what Cassie said about freak-offs, how she just wants to do them with Diddy. The judge feels like the jury could be swayed some kind of way, right? And then Garagos is like, this leaves an impression for the jury. And then the judge is like, what's your basis for what you want to do? Garagos was like, we didn't know they were only going to read the portions. Then the judge was like, you just want to read the 4 messages, right? Garagos says yes. Then the judge said, I think it's fair for the defense to read the 4 messages. The AUSA says, I don't intend to be misleading. So if your court is saying these 4 should be read, I should be the one to read them. Fine. Now we'll break. So child, the jury comes back in and the AUSA starts reading. It says that, I read the wrong thing. So when they start reading what Cassie is saying, Cassie said, you want to party and have a good time. I have to focus, or if I'm ever going to become anything, you treat me like a hooker for 10 years. I love our freak-offs when we both want it. Meaning, you want me to do stuff when you want it done, and I don't always want to do it. So now they bring in Joseph Cercilio. He is from Homeland Security Investigations for 18 years. How many records have you reviewed for the charts in this trial? He said thousands. What is the only female name in this chart? He said Jane. So the AUSA is like, turn off the public screens. All these exhibits must be provided by Monday, June 23rd. Then the AUSA said, what is the name of the hotel? He said one hotel is South Beach, Field Pines, and he gives the dates and how much it is for one night. $3,050.90 for one night. What kind of hotel is that? I'm gonna have to look that up. One hotel, South Beach. So then the AUSA is like, and this tussle, then Cercilio is like Jane by JetBlue from New York to Miami. Then the AUSA said, with the public screens off, play the Instagram videos. They have loud music, and then they ask, does the metadata match up? And Cercilio says yes. So then, the AUSA is asking Cecilio, what's this name? Jessica Ruiz, that's Diddy's travel agent. And then what charges or losses? $6,000. Who flew on this one? He said Jane and Cabral. Jane from LA to Miami to LA, and Cabral from Atlanta. Now, this right here is an exhibit that was not being shown to the public. But, child, this is what it says. It says, you want to get a party before you spend the weekend with a boring chick? Child, I think that's from Jane. Honey, Diddy was traveling this world just terrorizing hotels. I would be devastated if I checked in one and didn't know that he had been in there. Because now the AUSA said, what's this? He said, this is a hotel damage report at the London Hotel Room 229. The report says bodily fluid spread on the floor. Pictures were attached for evidence, child. Names, column, Jane, Combs, Reggie, Paul, and Cabral. Then the AUSA said, and these between Paul, Arthur, and Combs, then Jane. Cecilio is like Arthur Fitness LLC, an ATM cash deposit of $900 and then $600. And this, more hotel damages. And then the AUSA is like Fahim's cell phone was seized. He said yes. Then Garagos was like, Your Honor, take that one down. Public couldn't see it anyway. Can we please have a sidebar? The judge said, take it down. And yes, I know he is tired of sidebars because I am. Child, in while they was up there at the judge's desk for the sidebar, Jane sent a message that they just made public. Let's listen to it. I'm crying. I'm so triggered by this because it's too close to some nights. I felt forced. Please stop drugging and using women for your fetish nights. It creates demons inside of us and real trauma to women who only are here to please you. Let the pain on other women stop with me. Leave women alone who don't want to do these nights with you. Child, hire ladies of the evening and stop emotionally harming women that love you. Child, they did not want to do this. Child, so they didn't drop another message from Jane, right? She is feeling a certain way because she is out here doing all these things and she feels like Diddy just wants to be with Gina or Miami. She was like, you want me out here doing things with my mouth, right? While you go jet set with Young Miami and Gina. You want me to do the dirty stuff from hotel room to hotel room. Like, she is tired. Child, when they get back from the sidebar, Inner City Press says they are due to stop in 3 minutes. The AUSA says that Jonathan Perez sent this to Fahim. Cecilia said yes. The AUSA said, and this is about Anton. Antoine, is it sorted by date? Please sort it, Ms. Becker. Child, then they have dropped yet another exhibit, including this one from Diddy. Diddy, I guess after he read everything from Jane, he said, I don't even want to do it no more. So then the AUSA asks who sends the message, and Cecilio lets us know it's KK. And what does Jonathan write to Fahim? Cecilio says, he says, I don't know if you're holding 10 grand. Fawcett trying to get some more. And then the AUSA said, and this 6/20/24, a year ago today, then AUSA said, Your Honor, I think this is a good stopping place since we're ending earlier today. The judge said, jurors, you may leave. Don't read anything. All rise. My question is this. Do you think the jurors is not over here on Twitter reading what the Inner City Press has said? Because would you be reading it? Let me know if you'd be reading it. And then the judge said, how many more on direct? Ms. Comey said to midday on Monday. I hope Ms. Garagos can finish cross by the end of Monday. The judge said, then Rule 29, Mr. Agnifilio. And then Agnifilio says, we'll be on the shorter side. We'll tell the government over the weekend. Then Agnifilio said, if the government rests at the end of Monday, I think we'll rest Tuesday or Wednesday. Then the judge said, I'll send the proposed charge today. You send edits Tuesday evening. We could do the charge conference on Wednesday and close on Thursday. The judge said, you could use the courtroom until 2:30. Mr. Donaldson, if you need it, put in a written application. It's in that docket. And then court was adjourned. So it's over for the day. What do y'all think? I think this is great. Let's do shorter days and hurry to get this thing wrapped up. And they said that they would like to have a verdict by July the 4th. It's your girl, Millie Chine. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.
I'm not a lawyer, but it was day 20. We just finished week 6 of the Diddy trial. Today was a short day because of a juror scheduling issue. And because yesterday was a court holiday and Wednesday a juror was sick, we only had 2.5 days of testimony this week, which slowed things down. There were a few important developments today. Juror 7, who was apparently talking about the case, is still on the panel. The prosecution said they will rest on Monday. The defense said they only need a day or two to present their case, which is much less than the 1 to 2 weeks they had originally said. We know Diddy won't be testifying, which is what I've been saying all along. But the short defense case either means that they don't have the witnesses who want to support Diddy, or they believe they've poked enough holes in Cassie, Mia, and Jane's cases to raise reasonable doubt. Closing arguments may happen as early as Thursday, which is much sooner than the 4th of July timeline we had originally been told. Today, Brendan Paul was on the stand. He was the 6th Diddy assistant to testify against him, and the one people have been calling his drug mule because he was arrested with drugs shortly before Diddy was. Like the other assistants, he worked long hours and took Adderall to stay awake. Paul bought illegal and prescription drugs for Diddy, and he set up and cleaned up the hotel rooms after the freak-offs. Paul explained that he was cleaning Diddy's room one day, grabbed a bag, and forgot to take it out of his luggage before boarding a flight. Paul took the fall and didn't tell law enforcement that it was Diddy's drugs because he was loyal. And because it was less than a gram, the charges were dropped after Paul did drug classes and agreed to random drug testing. On cross, the defense got out that Paul often spoke to victim Jane and never saw or heard anything that made him think she wasn't a willing participant in the freak-offs, and that Diddy never told Paul to travel with drugs. The day ended with some more text messages being read. Cassie said Diddy treated her like a hooker. That's bad, but that's not sex trafficking. She also said that she loves our FOs when we both want it. That sounds like consent. There were also text messages about paying escorts cash, which is prostitution and the Mann Act violation. We just finished week 6 of the Diddy trial. Today was a short day.
Y'all hit the like and subscribe button. That's it for today. Today was a short day, as y'all can tell. Hit the like and subscribe and follow me for more.